this evening to be here with all of you. I hope I'm audible. And
Yes,
okay, great, awesome. So hi everyone. I don't know who's there in the audience. I think I know that there are some students, there are some parents, and there's some counselors. So my name is Richa Srivastava. I'm the managing partner for Makers Asylum. And I'm just going to share my screen to show you what we do and take you through the program that I'm going to be presenting about today, which is called the Innovation School, which we've specially designed for teen talents to be part of it and to work with us in creating some crazy ideas into reality. And I'm so sorry I'm so sorry. I have someone at the door.
that's not an issue. Absolutely not.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I'm just going to share my screen. Just give me a moment.
Sure.
Yeah, there you go. So I hope you're able to see this, Devika. Can you see my screen?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, guys. So I'll be talking today about the Innovation School, which is our flagship program that we've designed specially for teen talents. And it's more about building beyond academics. So I'm going to give you just about what Innovation School is. But before that, I just wanted to introduce what Makers Asylum is. So I'm just going to go through the next set of slides. That's me, Richa, and that's my partner, Vaibhav, who's the founder of Makers Asylum. Unfortunately, he's not here right now to take the session, but I'll be doing that on both our behalf. Makers Asylum primarily is a community space, a community maker space focused on fostering innovation through hands-on and purpose-based learning. Our space basically houses a lot of labs that are co-located in order to facilitate ideas and prototyping of ideas that are interdisciplinary in nature. So for example, this is our physical space that you can see. This is how it looks. We are based in Mumbai at the moment, and we also have a space in Delhi. And we have a metal shop. You can see that's over here. There's some community member, that's Priyank. We have a wood shop. We have a laser cutting lab. So we do a lot of digital fabrication work. We have a 3D printing lab. We also have an full-fledged electronics lab that we are really proud of as well. We do a bunch of stuff around electronics. We have a lovely community space outside where we also host a lot of community members who come to this space. And we have a lovely homemade barbecue grill that we've made ourselves. So we like hosting a lot of people from different backgrounds into our space who are doing some really interesting creative work. But basically our focus is primarily on two things: access to learning and access to tools. We believe a lot in alternative and hands-on learning. As you can see, most of our stuff is all touch and feel. But we primarily work at the intersection of making, design, and hardware. But there's a lot of really soft content also that we work on, like virtual reality, Internet of Things, drone making. So it's a mix of new age tech, design, and hardware. A lot of startups have come out of our space, about 35 startups in the last 7 years that we've been a community maker space. So it's open for people from all ages, disciplines, and background to come and have a neutral playground to think beyond what they can think on a normal day in a closed environment. We try to keep it as a neutral space for people to really think beyond what they can. And that's what the whole space is all about. The culture is all about of making. And we started incidentally back in 2014 out of a garage in Bandra. So we had a very small space, which was about 100 square feet at the back office of Vaibhav's old office, because he'd moved back from Boston. He was working over there at the MIT Media Labs, and he moved back to India to set up his startup earlier back in 2014. And in the process, he realized that it's important to have a space like this, because they were working on virtual reality eye diagnostic devices at that point in time. And there was a lot of prototyping and improvement of the product that was needed. So on a normal day, you have to go to a service provider who will give you the end result. So you don't basically go through the iterative prototyping process yourself to really refine the product. So in a space like this, you're able to do that because you're seeing the changes yourself, you're seeing the progression yourself. So there's a lot of learning, and that's how, out of his own personal need, he started this space back in 2014 out of a garage. And slowly we've moved 5 spaces in the last 5 years in Bombay. And a space like this, an independent maker space like this, is the first of its kind in India, our space. So and we've been doing a lot of interesting things as well. I'll show you a little bit. So our vision is primarily to foster an innovative ecosystem in India in the areas of hardware, design, and sustainability. These are the 3 pillars on which we function in terms of an organization. And our methodology primarily focuses on 3 things: design thinking, frugal innovation, a lot of jugaad, of course. We take a lot of pride in saying that we believe a lot in frugal innovation, because in a country like India, it's very important to understand resource crunched. We're a very resource crunched country. So how do you think in a manner where you can utilize those resources really well? And the third bit of it that we focus on is making, because we really believe that making and creating something tangible really helps people, sort of go beyond, your regular thought process. And at the center of all of this lies sustainability, which we are very inclined to in terms of all the projects that we do. And these are some of the featured projects that I wanted to sort of show, so that it gives you context about our work in the past as well. For example, this is something that we created with Hindustan Unilever and Zentio. This is a plastic recycling lab, basically on the go. So it goes around teaching kids in different parts of the country, in rural areas, how do you recycle plastic. It basically is it's a whole plastic extrusion unit inside a mobile lab, as you can see in the picture over here. And so it sort of, converts a plastic bottle into thin elements of plastic. And then on the other side of the van, there's a 3D printer. And so basically it shows you the whole, the cycle of plastic, and how you can reuse it and upcycle it to make it into a different product. So it sort of teaches children various things. And we've engaged over 25,000 students in over 6 months, and direct beneficiaries of the program have been over 120,000, and we've engaged about 50 plus schools. You can also see us over here in this slide making the whole thing. We make everything in-house at the space. So a lot of the fabrication work that we've done is in-house. We don't give it outside to anyone else to make it. So it's all our community members and everybody who makes stuff. This is another feature project that I wanted to speak about. We've created this Center of Smart City and Technologies in collaboration with a German company, STIAG, and an engineering college in Kochi, where we've created a space for the students to sort of bring in the maker culture into the environment that they're learning. So this is something that we did for them, and over 500 students have benefited out of it. A lot of projects have come out of it. You can see the lab in function. So our skill set, a lot of it lies in creating spaces and cultures where you can really think beyond what you can in a normal environment. So that's what we work on. This is another example of the same, where we created a textile lab for women artisans in Jaipur. This is along with the French Embassy in India, where the whole idea was to create Indo-French connection in textiles. And how do you sort of go about creating collaborations between researchers and artisans who are in Jaipur to create something beyond what you're generally sort of seeing in terms of the textile and fashion industry. So the impact has been quite interesting. We had Dior, the fashion house, inaugurate that. That's Maria, who's the creative director of Dior, who came and inaugurated it. We have a lot of women artisans engaged, and we've been doing work over there in Jaipur as well. This is something, is another program that I want to talk about, is it's Team Fabricarium, where we brought in a differently able community to work with temporarily able community like you and I, so that they could create solutions for themselves. So you can see a bunch of people here. That's Nico. He's a hand amputee, and There's a few other people with leg amputation. So the idea of this program was to create solutions for the differently able community with them and be inclusive of the fact that they can build their own solutions themselves. So we've been doing this program now for a while now, and a lot of projects like interesting projects that have come out of it. One of the favorite ones that we have is flying wheelchair, which is now in France with Airbus. They've been working on it further to sort of create a real product out of it, which is basically a wheelchair which helps paraplegic people to fly, paraglide, basically. So there are really interesting things that have come out of these things. And then we have another project, which is the Maker Auto, which is a version of ourselves in an auto. Basically, the Maker Lab goes to different places, and we've done a bunch of stuff that's with Autodesk. We've trained over 3,000 people, engaged a lot of schools, etc. You can see all the children over here around the auto in the thing. So yeah, we do a lot of really different kind of work. And something recently that we did, I wanted to just show you when the pandemic started, is something that we decided as a team to quarantine at our space, because we didn't want to go back home and sort of be more productive during this time. So we started designing these face shields. And the first prototype, when we put it up on our social media, a lot of doctors and nurses started reaching out to us in Bombay. This was back in March, when the first national lockdown had happened. And then we started an initiative to give about 1,000 of these, because we thought we are such a small group, and we will not be able to do more than 1,000 of these face shields. But slowly, the initiative got really large. And in 49 days, we were able to give over 1 million of these face shields in 42 cities, towns, and villages in India through open sourcing our design and distributed manufacturing, because it was very important at that point in time to, because logistics was really a big problem. So I wanted to just show a small clip of this video of the initiative so that you can see what happened. And we've been working ever since. Actually, the pandemic has been more busy for us than anything else. So I just wanted to show a quick one.
Sure.
Let me just show this. I hope you're able.
Hey guys, this is Vaibhav Chhabra from Makers Asylum, Mumbai, India. We've been making face shields since the 23rd of March, when India decided to go on a lockdown to help control the COVID-19 virus. At that time, India had a huge shortage of PPE equipment, and especially face shields. These things protect medical healthcare professionals, primarily doctors and nurses that are coming in contact with COVID-19 patients. This helps you by direct splashes of mucus or spit particles directly coming to your face, and also helps you by not touching your face again and again and spreading that virus. When we began with a mere goal of making 10,000 face shields in our lab. However, now we've given, as of today, over 1 million face shields across more than 40 cities, towns, and villages through the initiative of the N19 Collective, where we open sourced the design, shared it with all the other communities, other labs, other makers across the country, and who started making these N19 face shields. Everyone requires basic protection, and hence we've decided to open these out for everyone who wants to buy them and want them. And you can buy them right here on our store, which is makersasylum.com/shop.
Yeah, so I mean, it did start off as an initiative, and then we so it was very interesting, because we went through the same iterative process that we teach others of design thinking, frugally innovating, and all of that in this whole product, because the demand was so high at that point in time. And we still are making those, and we also opened it up to retail. So so it's been an interesting shift for us, because a lot of small businesses and organizations are shutting at this point in time. But it was very interesting for us, because we could actually, with the initiative, create so much impact, and also in the process be self-dependent and self-sufficient to keep ourselves running at the same time. So this is, if you see on the left side of this screen, these are the 21 design iterations that we went through. This was the first one that we made. And then slowly we progressed into making these. And on the right side, you can see the final product. So we went to 21 design iterations of one simple product, like a face shield. One would think that it's very simple to sort of make, but you can imagine like the thought process that goes into design. And that's what we teach primarily through the program. And now we're working on these, which are the M19 MAPR. These are motorized air purifying respirators, which are quite interesting products as well. Sorry, I'm just going to switch on my lights so that I have some light. Yes, so this is what we're working on. So we do a lot of work around, of course, product design and things like that. So, and then we incorporate that in our program. And these are a bunch of our programs. Just for a little bit of background, that our primary skill set lies in program design and execution, and we've been doing a lot of programs along with partners like UNESCO and others for the last 5 to 6 years now in different parts of the world. And we bring in a lot of participation from international students as well in India. This is one of our programs, which is called the STEAM Fabricatum I showed you earlier, where we bring in the differently able community with the temporarily able community to work together. And this is another one, which is called STEAM School. We have about now over 500 alumni of this program in 25 different countries. And we've been hosting this particular program to solve for local community issues that focus around the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So there are over about 70 to 80 projects that have come out of it, and a lot of them are in different stages. For example, some of them have gone into becoming startups. Some of them are in the phases of research into different universities. So so this program is focused on that. This is another program that we do with a business school in France called EM Lyon, which is called DIVE. And this particular program is basically designed to bring in social impact solutions, business solutions and these business school students come down to India at our space for about a month or two to create these solutions around social impact. And we work a lot with local communities like Dharavi and others in Bombay, where we bring up these solutions. We've been doing this for some time now with EM Lyon. And then this is another program, which is the SDG School. We host this in Paris and Mumbai every year. Again, focused around the UN Sustainable Development Goals, but the one that happens in Paris is hosted with our university partners, CREE, which is the Center of Research and Interdisciplinarity. And we over there in Paris, we look at local community issues in France and Paris, particularly. When we host it in Mumbai, then we look at local community issues in Mumbai. These programs have been quite diverse age, because we don't believe in, we believe a lot in age agnostic learning and interdisciplinary learning. So a lot of it has been over, like 15 to 44 years of age range. So a lot of people from different kinds of backgrounds come to these programs. So we have a wide range of people that come for the program. So basically this is what it is in a nutshell. Our skill set lies in bringing together multidisciplinary groups to work on problem solving for local community via the lens of design thinking, frugal innovation, and rapid prototyping. These are some of our partners that we worked in the past. You can see a bunch of universities on this. A lot of organizations work with us. So there's a mix of partners that we have. UNESCO, of course, is the developmental agency that we work very closely with as well. So this is a little bit about Makers Asylum, and we're going to move quickly to our program Innovation School. Why Innovation School? Just to set context about why we created this program and why we thought it was important. So if you see today, the world is facing a unique convergence of environmental, economical, and social crisis. And there's an urgency to address this. You can see some of the pictures that are put on the right side, where there are forests burning, there's scarcity of water. There's a lot of, different kinds of crisis that we are in at the moment. And COVID-19 to add to things, right? So, and on the other hand, the technology is on the rise, and the jobs of the future are changing, right? So there's one end where there's crisis, and then the other end is technology, where there is, of course, a lot of good things happening, but a lot of skills that you need for the future are changing. You don't even know what you really need 10 years down the line at the moment. So, and the problems today are multidimensional. So you need different kinds of people from different kinds of walks of life to work together and look at them from different perspectives. So that's why we thought about the Innovation School. And today, if we were to describe the age that we are in, I would say we call it the innovation age, right? And for anybody to have social mobility in an age like this, the super important part is creating new knowledge and ideas. In the industrial age, etc., when we were back in the day, the social mobility of a person depended upon whether they knew technical skills, whether they knew tech, etc. But today in the innovation age, your social mobility completely lies on creating new knowledge and ideas, because there's so much uncertainty in the environment, right? So how do you sort of navigate through it? How do you be agile through it? So that's when we thought about the program. And with these basic principles of sort of creating creative leadership for tomorrow, who can be resilient and agile in a new environment like this, is where we created this program for young teenager talents who could join us and sort of create something which could sort of really help them, give them the confidence that they can really be in an environment like this, right? So the innovation school, primarily the way that we've structured it is over 6 months. So when I say 6 months, I don't mean that you have to be there every day. Over 6 months, we will be hosting 2 sessions every week, which will be about 75 minutes to 90 minutes each. So a time commitment of about 3.5 hours in a week is something that we are expecting. And the way that we've divided these hours is the learning. So there's a learning part where, of course, there are guided projects and live sessions where we do with instructors and mentors from different parts of the world, where we've curated a couple of basic content on that. So that's learning for 40 hours. The project work, because there is a project-based learning involved in each module that we work with the students. So that's 64 hours of project work that we look at. We have curated a really interesting group of global mentors who are doing some really, really exciting work in different parts of the world. So there's a lot of time that we spend with the global mentors to introduce the talents to different things that are happening across the world, so that you understand what is going on in the world, for you to also sort of really navigate your way through what you want to do. So anything from exoskeleton making to AI to to anything that you can imagine. We've sort of curated that through the global mentors, and I'll go back to that point a little later. And then, of course, our mentor time, like our instructors at Makers Asylum and our team, will be spending 10 to 20 hours with each student to sort of create their portfolio project. Which is going to be the main project. So in each module, there will be a couple of projects which are guided projects, but there will be one overarching portfolio project that we will be working towards in these 6 months. And then, of course, there are some digital fabrication time that you get to do with our space. At the moment, of course, people can't come here, and we've made this online. So these hours that are spent is going to be spent in sort of making your prototypes, etc., at our space, and we'll be shipping that to you at your location. So that's how basically the overall structure of the innovation school is. And these are the base courses which are mandatory for everyone who joins the program. And it's an application-based process. So one has to apply for the program. There are 2 base courses that we have designed. One is CAD and the other one is electronics. We think these 2 things are very important for anybody to sort of prototype with really interesting ideas. So the CAD module is designed because it focuses on design. And the electronics module is important because we think that there's a lot of things that you can do with electronics while you're creating, technology-based projects and solutions. So these 2 are mandatory. Again, like I said, each week we have a commitment of 3 hours tops over 2 days that you'll be joining these live sessions. And like I said, each module has 2 guided projects. So CAD has 2 guided projects, and then even electronics has 2 guided projects. And we also send you a really, really nice electronic survival kit that I will show you later, along with the whole program, so that the makerspace can come to your house, because it's very important that you touch and feel and do things when you're doing this. So, and then you have an option of selecting 2 elective courses out of the 4 that we have designed. So we've sort of kept a mix of various things, but because we think these are important elements for a lot of kids and teenagers to learn these days. And so the one is 3D printer and laser cutting, which we find very exciting because digital fabrication has become a very powerful tool to create things. And we really personally vouch for digital fabrication because it's becoming a very big thing. And even in the COVID response case, if you see, makers across the world have been using 3D printers, laser cutters, and all the digital fabrication tools that are available to them to create really, really interesting solutions. And then the second one that we really think is important is virtual reality. And because given the changes in the environment that we have, there'll be a lot of virtual reality content that will go into, create. A lot of people are already doing that, but to know more about it is important for the youngsters right now, because it'll just give them a stepping stone onto sort of creating very interesting things around virtual reality. Then the third one that we look at is IoT, which is Internet of Things, because now a lot of our appliances, a lot of our houses are automated. How do you sort of create, how do you learn about those things early on? Because it will be a norm sooner or later. So the third thing is IoT. And then the fourth one that we believe, which has a lot of really interesting applications and we love to do, is drone making. So that's the fourth element of this elective. So you can select 2 out of 4. So overall 2 base courses and 2 elective courses is what you will be doing. So that means to say overall 8 guided projects that you'll be doing as part of the program, and then 1 profile project, which we will be helping you along with the global mentors and our team to create a profile project for yourself, which will be a problem statement that you'll be solving. Right. So that's pretty much how the program is structured. And this is how the space will come to you. So we've created these really interesting kits, especially our electronic survival kit is something that you can make anything with. So we love this, and this will be part of the program that'll be coming to you. And the kits that you may want to, so the 3D printing does not have a kit, but the rest of the 3 electives has. And depending on what you're selecting, you will be buying those kits. I can show you where the pricing, etc. is. It's here at the bottom of my presentation. And the electronic survival kit comes as part of the program fee. So that goes to everybody who registers for the program, right? So that's where it is. I wanted to give a few examples of a couple of our, talents who've been working with us, and where they come from and what kind of profiles they have and what kind of projects they've been doing. So that's on the left, that's Nakul. Nakul's been part of our program, and he goes to Dhirubhai Ambani School in Mumbai. And he was also a participant with us at Paris last year when we went for the program. So Nakul, when he came with us to Paris as well, he had no clue about coding or doing anything. And during the whole program, the problem statement that he was trying to solve was to make youngsters move. As to these days, we all are like sitting at home, we don't do anything. How do you sort of create an environment or a game where you can actually make them move? And so it was called Bouge Beta, the game that he created. And it was basically sort of an augmented reality game where you have to capture territory by running around, running in the sense by running, and things like that. And the game design completely, he did it from scratch within a month's time. So he had no idea about how to code, but he developed the whole game from scratch. And that was quite exciting for us, because I think that's what the culture of making sort of brings to you, because you're really passionate about the problem statement. Then on the right, you can see that's Sam. Sam has again been part of our couple of programs, and he's a self-learner and he's a homeschooler. So he does not go to a school, but he's very, very smart. Again, he's been part of multiple programs at our space, but he designed something which is called the BAT, which is a low-cost wearable for visually impaired. It's got this 6-axis feedback mechanism to alert users on oncoming obstacles through vibrations, ensuring an easier and less obstructive way to navigate public spaces for people who are visually impaired. So he did something like that. And now he also is an instructor. I mean, we also host him as an instructor for our programs because he's really good at explaining a lot of things. So that's Sam and Nakul, just to give you some references of what kind of, talents come to our program. And then this is our advisory board for the program. This is, just to introduce everybody, this is Navi. Navi Rajdu is a French-American scholar and writer of Jugaad and Frugal Innovation, which is a very exciting book that he's written, and he does a lot of strategy work with a lot of global organizations across the world, where he brings in the concept of frugal innovation to the table, and how everybody can navigate through their organizations with the concept of frugal innovation. That's Carla. Beba, could you get me my charger, please? Sorry, my battery is running out. Just one moment.
Yeah, sure.
Carla. Carla is the founder of Space 10 in Copenhagen, and she is basically She's a creative individual, and Space 10 is the design and research lab of IKEA Foundation in Copenhagen. So a lot of things that are made at IKEA, they're first designed and researched at Space 10 in Copenhagen, and she's the founder of of that. Nirav again is he was this ex CEO for Tata Class Edge. So he's been and now he's an investor into educational technology. So he does a lot of advisory work for us, especially in terms of the program and in general at Makers Asylum. Sandrine is right now based in Tokyo, but she is the attaché for science and technology at the French embassy in Tokyo and previously in India. So she brings in a lot of really interesting connects in terms of how we can connect to a really interesting community in India, Japan, and France together. So that we can sort of work on that. Gael is the director of the Center of Research and Interdisciplinarity at CRI, one of our university partners in Paris, one of our close university partners. And they believe a lot in different kind of pedagogy in terms of teaching. And so for us, it becomes very exciting to sort of bring them on board to understand, how we can really think differently. And we take a lot of inspiration from CRI for all our programs as well. Rahul is a lawyer, was at Amarchand earlier, and now he's a senior partner at this other law firm. But what he brings into the table is the knowledge of IP creation, because he's an expert in that. How do you create IPs for products, and sort of brings in that kind of thing to the table. Some of the mentors I wanted to introduce, just to give you a basic brief about who we've curated. That's Caroline Dahl. She's based out of Sweden. She is a researcher, she's the chairperson of the maker community in Sweden, and she's doing a lot of research around a lot of things around education and technology for kids and adults as well. Kobe is he's at the MIT Media Lab. He is in charge of the hobby shop over there, which is kind of like a makerspace, and he does a lot of interesting work. The Maker Auto that you saw earlier that we have created was Kobe's project, which got a lot of attention across the world as well around the stuff that he's done. So Kobe is a real good maker and a lot of things. That's Bodo. Bodo comes from a very vast background in open innovation. He's based out of New York, and he sort of, you can see his daughter here actually. His daughter, her arm actually was unresponsive. So Bodo and the daughter together created an exoskeleton for the arm. And it's a great story actually, and I can share that later with everybody. And eventually when she started wearing that exoskeleton, her arm started responding eventually. So it's a really beautiful story, and they both created it together, and he's quite famous from that perspective, but he works a lot in open innovation. And how do you create, how is open innovation going to be the future of, how you innovate and do things. And that's John Noel. He's based out of Lyon in France. Again, a really amazing maker, but he's a pedagogical director at this university called LDLC in Lyon. That's Felicity. She is based out of Nairobi. She is, again, she works in telecommunications, but also is a really interesting maker. She's been working with the Fab Foundation, which is a really interesting community, which MIT started back in the day. Ankur is, he's the ex-CEO for Groupon, but also an investor, and sort of works with a lot of really interesting startups in their early stages to sort of create strategy around them. Tudor is an alternative learning educationalist based out of Amsterdam. Anshuman, again, is at the was at the MIT Media Labs, but he started something in the space of artificial intelligence for milk testing. When you get milk from cow, how do you test it via artificial intelligence? But this is only one set of mentors. I've not listed everyone else, but we've got some really exciting ones. And we, with our batches that are already we have different batches that we take in every month. And it's a small group of talents that we bring in every month, but all of them get access to whoever they want to at any point in time. If they want to sort of talk about anything specific to all the mentors, it's a very open communication that we have. The program fee for the program, because it's a longer program, is 75,000. Just one, and it's divided into three things that we do with the program fee. 60% of it is the program fee, which is for our operations and the the coordination, etc. 20% of it goes into the innovation school kit that goes back to your home, which comes to you as part of the program fee, and 20% of it we. I hope I'm. Okay, yeah. And 20% of it is to support indigenous innovation. So we sort of have moved it to something called the Innovation Fund, which can go back to the talents themselves to sort of work on really their profile projects or interesting ideas in the future. But that part of the fund is to support indigenous innovation in India, where we support that through, various startups or even the talents projects that they do eventually for their profile building. So that's how the division of the fee is. This is some press and media, or you can also Google it, about in terms of we've sort of described as an innovation hub in Bombay and various things that we've been doing for the last couple of years now. But I'll share that with you, but that's about it. Thank you.
Okay, I think it was an amazing presentation, not only for the participants across grade 9 to 12, but for us also, for our team also. It was amazing. So, we can quickly take the questions right now. So we have a lot of them. So before you skim through the questions, I would just highlight a few questions which I thought were really common, and you don't have to go through them. So one question is, do you offer internships?
We at the moment, because we do offer internships, yes. A lot of people from different parts of the world have come and interned with us. There's a program called Maker in Residence that we do, which is something that we host a lot of people from different parts. Yes, we do offer internships. So yes, that'll be yes to an answer.
Okay, so they are also interested to know, if they will be certified.
I mean, we give our in the sense, what kind of certifications?
So yeah, of course, if they enroll with the program and if they get indulged in the Maker Asylum activities and if they create something, so basically, will they be certified?
I mean, you get a certificate. Is that
yes.
what you mean? Yes, of course. I mean, we give our certificate. I don't know. We personally don't believe a lot of value certificates have, because we believe that what you do and your projects will say a lot about what you are as your profile. And I wanted to mention one part of the presentation which I missed. In the whole program, we focus on one thing apart from all the methodology that I spoke about, is documentation. We believe that every step in part of the process of your project making is documented. We use a lot of tools and equipment in terms of doing that, because it's very important that every step of your imagination is captured. And once you document well, you yourself can see the progression of where you've gone from a thought to an idea to actually making something tangible. So that is something that will add to your portfolio. And that's something that we believe is a certificate of the program. But yes, if it's a physical certificate, yes, we do give that.
Okay, I think it was clear. So is the program across grade 9 to 12? Yes. I think grade 9 students are concerned if it's for them as well.
It is. It's for 13 to 17. I think 8th grade is 13 years old, right? If I'm not wrong. So yeah, we've got, in the previous batch, we've got some really talented youngsters as well. But yeah, it's for 13 to 17 years of age. So which is pretty much across board.
Okay. So they also want to know, how they can join, like what is the basic procedure to join?
So there's an application process. I'm just going to stop the share.
Sure.
Or I can actually show it to you on my website. Just hold on one moment. Let me just open that up. So just give me a moment. I'll just show it to you. So you can go to makersasylum.com if you can see my screen. And under programs, you can go to Innovation School, which is the 4th tab. And there is an apply now button. So we take applications every month, because we have a batch that we do every month. So you can apply for the, it's a very short, like a really random questionnaire, I would say, because we want to sort of test out different kinds of skills, but it's a very short one, very fun one. You can fill that out. And then we give you a call for the next orientation with your parents, and to understand what are your thoughts, to understand a little bit more personally about what you want to do with us. And we select the like-minded kids that we think that the talents who really are a little have a little interesting idea that they want to take forward, we sort of shortlist and we have a selection process. So then we then start the cohort according to that. Yeah, so you can apply here. Most details on the website as well. You can also see that. I mean, whatever I showed you at the moment as well, you can see it over here. But the application form is right there on our website, so you can apply there.
Okay, so there are a lot of questions pouring in, so I have set them live if you would like to answer a few of them. And of course, the ones which remain unanswered, you can always email Richa, and I'm sure she'll get back to you.
Yeah, it'd be great. I mean, you can share my number, email, anything.
Yes.
So anybody who wants.
Sure. If you don't mind, just typing out your email and number.
Yeah, I will just do.
Yeah, and if you could address few questions as well.
1 second. I'll just start with questions and I'll just type my.
Yes.
Oh, there's a lot of questions. There's like 30.
Yeah. So if you could just pick a few.
Okay, internships I've answered. So is the place where we can register and make what we think? Yes, you can make what you think. What sort of mentorship do you provide at the Makerspace? I think I mentioned enough about the mentorship. It's live sessions, global mentor, where we curate different kind of things, and at the same time our team's time that goes into the larger project that you'll be making. So yeah, I mean, and we're available at all times, so you can ask any questions. It's a very open learning environment. We don't have we're not like a regular classroom, so we're very open. We're more like your peers learning with you, so it'll be more like that. What is the build volume of the 3D printers? Okay, I don't understand this question. Good evening, this is Vandana, Saint Kabir School, Ahmedabad. Is there any certification? I think I answered that. And internships. We will get any certificates, yes. Are M19 masks available in Chennai? Yes, they are available in Chennai. We have been shipping across India, so you can also order if you'd like. Internships, yes. But we technically, we do talk about internships, but I want to emphasize that we do, for us, it's very important. The Innovation School is like I said, it's a flagship program for the talents. So if you're part of the program, that itself is a lot of mentorship, and it's sort of like a mix of mentorship and internship, because we sort of introduce you to a lot of exciting other things as well that you can work on. So I recommend people to be part of the program, because then it's more structured for us to sort of, guide you through what you need to do. So I missed a part of the webinar. Is there any way I can see the part I missed? Yes, I think so, right?
Yes, we will be uploading the webinar on our YouTube channel. So the ones who've missed it and the ones who couldn't join can view it on our YouTube.
Okay. If I do not have any experience, will everything be taught from scratch? Yes, it'll be taught from scratch. You don't need to have any previous knowledge about anything to join the program. Can we choose any topic to make things on? Yes, in most cases, we will, in the middle of the program, once you're done with your base courses, we will go through a design thinking process with you to understand what problem statement that you want to solve. So yes, you can come up with any solutions, any problem statement that you want to address to. And then we will try to align your skill sets to that problem statement to create something very exciting beyond what you want to solve. How are we going to join it? I think I've explained that it's on a website. You need to apply. It's an application-based process. How can we participate in 6 months program? Well, like I said, it's not 6 months. It is a 6-month commitment, but you get to, there are only 2 sessions per week that we do. So we do understand that all you guys are super, super busy. So that's the reason why we've kept it flexible, because to make something exciting and to build a portfolio, you need to spend time on that. So it's very important for you to work with us for at least 6 months in the minimum to sort of create something which is worthy of showcase. So that's why we've kept the program length at 6 months. The earlier version of this, which was more physical and not online, was actually for 11 months. So we had longer commitment of, we had about 25 to 30 talents who have been part of that program as well, where they have engaged with us for a year long. But 6 months, we think, is a good enough time for you to create something more tangible with us. And we need your time to do something exciting. So yeah, if you're ready for that kind of a commitment, I would, but like I said, it's not 6 months long that you don't have to see our faces every day. So it's fine. Are we supposed to know basic computer science for these software stuff? No, we start from scratch. Can the VR module can be used for students who are below 13 years? Yes, we have some really, we have younger students as well as part of the program. Like I said, we gauge through the kind of talents we want to enroll. So if you are below 13 years of age as well, uh, you can apply and we will take it from there. Don't worry about it too much. If I buy a kit, will I be able to learn and do activities at home too? Yes, primarily the program is designed so that you can do it from home, because in this environment, we can't really host a lot of people. We don't know till when, because it's quite uncertain in the country at the moment. So hence the program has been made online, and hence the kit has been created so that it's hybrid, and and the space comes to your house, so you can make and do all the projects that we will be doing with you at home with our guidance as well. So what is the duration? When does it start? I mentioned the duration is over 6 months, but we have a batch that starts every month, mid of every month. So anywhere between 14th or 15th of the month. So we take in applications every month. So you can apply depending on, we just started our batch this month on the July 14th. The next one is scheduled to be in August 13th. So whoever's interested can apply for the August 13th batch as well. Where do you register for the program? On our website. Do we have to do the course as per the structure, or are we free to use resources as we feel? In the beginning, the base courses are structured, and so are the elective structured, because I think some level of skills are required for you to sort of create, so that you can then go into a more independent level of functioning. So some of it is structured, some of it is unstructured. You always feel free to keep working on the things that you want to. So we're not very, how do I say, we're not very constrained around it, but yes, the individual modules will be structured. So there will be certain kind of structure that will, you will have to go through. If your center is at Mumbai, how will people in other cities learn the things that you'll be teaching? The course is online, just to clarify. Even though we're based in Bombay. So it's open for all cities, towns, and villages as well. So we have a lot of people from different cities as well. So it's location agnostic because it's online. Where is the center in Mumbai? We are located in Andheri East in Mumbai at the moment. How do you register? I think I've answered that. Are there any projects where we merge software and hardware creating? Yes, there are a lot of projects where you do both. It's an intersection of hardware, software, and design, like I mentioned. I'm in class 9. Should I continue? Yes, you can. It's meant for you. Vandana, I think I answered her question. How to register? What programming language do you teach? It depends on what course are you part of, but we do a bunch of different kind of things, especially like Python. We also do Arduino programming and things like that. So there are multiple things in it. You don't any center in Ahmedabad? No, we don't have a center in Ahmedabad, but like I said, the program is location agnostic as it's online. So we'll be sending kits to your houses, and the program is designed online. If we stay outside India, will the kits reach us? We will have to check, but you can call us. We have been shipping few things outside of India. Happy to take that separately as well. Does anyone have to live in Bombay to participate? No, you don't have to live in Bombay to participate. You can be anywhere in the country. Charges and fees, I mentioned it's 75,000, which includes everything, including taxes. So that's the program fee. It is an online program, yes. Do you work with schools? I work with the residential school in Ajmer. We have all resources like 3D printing makers, spaces. Is there scope of collaboration? Yes, we work with different kind of organizations in different capacities. So yes, we can discuss that on the side. How do we contact you? I will leave my email and number so that you can reach. I think I'm almost done with the questions, Devika.
Yes. So I think this question is also very interesting, that, you know, if a student wants to buy the kit, so do they have to be a part of the program, or they can just buy it?
You can also buy it. We will be in fact, we're just opening up our kits on our shop on the website as well. So if you don't want to be part of the program, you just want to buy it, that's also possible. From next week onwards. Can we all join the program, or I will have to start with 2 and then again apply for the other 2? I don't understand this question. Can we all join the programs, or I will have to start with 2 and then apply for the other 2? No, I mean, if you're talking about the modules, then the base courses are mandatory and the electives are something that you choose 2 out of 4. So it's all part of the same program. You don't have to apply for it again. Yeah, somebody asked the question about the kit. Yes, it's a paid program. The fee I had mentioned earlier. Kit, see, generally the kit that we give is given in a manner that the guided projects that we have pertaining to electronics and other kits are incorporated in that kit. So we will be using those kits to do these projects and to do the live sessions with the mentors. So hence the kits are designed so that you can have a more touch and feel kind of a way of learning while you're still at home, because we want to bring in the maker culture to your house. Certification, okay, that we spoke about. Is in this pandemic, how will these courses and workshop work? It will work online, hence I've been saying that. I have an innovative product. Can I do rapid prototyping at Makers Asylum? Yes, you can, but at the moment we're not open for people to come into our space. But if you are part of the program, we can help you sort of create that product and prototype with you. So yes, you can apply for the program. I don't know whether that's a question from a talent or a parent. I saw on the website, is there woodworking? How will that work online? Woodworking was part of our physical workshop and certification course that we used to do earlier. At the moment, we've not found a way to do woodworking online, but we're trying to find ways to do that online. But it requires a lot of tools for you to have at your house. But maybe we will create a kit for that as well. So maybe we can do woodworking online as well. And I think that answers most of the questions.
Yes, so if you could, just drop in your email ID.
Yes. Where do I type that?
You can just type it in the Q&A itself.
Okay, can I type it in the Q&A? Okay, I'll have to answer to a question, right? To type my, okay,
Yes.
okay. And my number is, okay, I've answered the first question with that. So it's, I don't know whether you can see my.
Yes. So I think we'll just give them a minute to copy the same.
Okay. Okay, yeah. I think I answered most questions.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yep, I think it was a great presentation, and I'm sure many minds are enlightened right now, and they'll definitely, keep thinking about how can they join the program. And of course, it totally adds to a profile building webinar. So the webinar calls for itself, because obviously the highly selective colleges in the US do look for students having such, things along with their academics. So I'm sure this will be a great addition to their profile. And thank you, Richa. Thank you so much for joining us in today. And it was a very insightful session.
Thank you so much, Devika. Thank you for hosting me, and thank you everybody who's joined. And I hope to hopefully talk to a few of you who would be interested to be part of our program. So thank you so much for listening.
Totally. Okay, bye.
Thank you. Bye.